You are about to experience the Skip Bayless Show. On today's show, I'm about to go deeper into the injuries suffered by Patrick Mahomes and Micah Parsons. Extremely unfortunate injuries, but in my view, very telling injuries about both of these superstar players. And I'll go deeper into their impact, their football impact, or lack thereof, and how it will be affected, maybe deeply affected by these injuries going forward. First, let's start with Patrick Mahomes. I've spoken to several trainers, several doctors, several surgeons about the Mahomes injury and the Mahomes surgery. And I heard some very intriguing observations that I think will be very interesting to many of you. Now, all these observations are from a distance. No one I spoke with directly involved with Mahomes or with the surgery. So this is all from a distance, but all, to me, very enlightening. People who know far more about this than I certainly do or did. Let's start with the play itself, the Mahomes injury play against the Chargers at home, Arrowhead. 16-13 game, Chargers are leading, Mahomes is driving for at least maybe the tying field goal to go to overtime. Everybody I talked to was extremely surprised about that he was hurt on that play because, as I pointed out on Arena Gridiron, it was not an injurious kind of play. It was not a dangerous, precarious situation that Mahomes found himself in. It was pretty routine. He was tripped up from behind by an LA Charger by the name of Hand, who got a hand on Mahomes' right foot. That's all it was hand to foot that sort of tripped him up from behind. He had slowed down trying to find somebody, then sped up a little bit, went to throw the football away, and in his throwing motion, got tripped up by hand to foot. No big deal. This has happened to him dozens, if not hundreds of times in his NFL and his college career. He is, to me, a running quarterback, though nobody calls him that, but that's what he is. He's a running/scrambling quarterback, always on the move, often across the line of scrimmage on the move. I'll get to that in a moment. But as he's looking downfield, he gets sort of surprised by hand to foot. And he came down awkwardly on his left foot. At first, there was a little bit of hyperextension, which can certainly threaten the ligaments. The knee had been in some question before, that there had been some issue going on in the left knee already. So we have to take that into account. And yet, as he missteps with his left awkwardly, he hyperextends, then tries to save a little bit, and he winds up tearing two ligaments. I'll get to those in just a moment. And everybody I talked to was, dare I say, shocked that the surgery was such a quick turnaround, a 24-hour turnaround. Never is. That was Mahomes. He had posted something about, how did this happen to him? Like, I can't believe this happened to me. And I don't certainly blame him for that. He is a warrior. He's avoided any serious injury in his career, though he puts himself into many, many threatening situations as a runner. And yet, everybody assumes that Mahomes put pressure on Dr. Cooper in Dallas. He's very good at what he does. to do it now so that he could start the clock much earlier than usual on getting back for the season opener next year. Way to go, Patrick Mahomes. That's what he is made of. But everybody I talked to assumes Dr. Cooper went into this under circumstances he did not love, where if it were up to Dr. Cooper or any doctor, you need to wait at least a week, maybe 10 days. Let the swelling subside, the chaos in the knee subside, so that the surgeon can get a clear picture of what needs to be repaired, and to repair it, hopefully, more successfully than you could after 24 hours when there's chaos in the knee and obviously much swelling. So it's harder to get it right when you go so fast the next day. Obviously, it gives you a head start on your rehab, but it's much harder to diagnose it correctly to start with all the swelling. And frankly, the degree of difficulty rises in getting the surgery right, or as right as you can get it. So, as you might or might not know, there are 4 ligaments around the knee. You've got the ACL, the MCL, PCL, and the LCL. So Patrick tore what just seems like everybody always tears, which is the ACL anterior cruciate ligament. But oddly, strangely, weirdly, rarely, he also tore the LCL, the lateral collateral ligament. It's just a not often seen combination of tears that you tear the ACL and the LCL. It can make it harder to repair both at the same time, but more important, it can be harder to rehab those two together. The LCL is more of a support ligament. And this is also weird to me, something I learned. With the LCL, if you just tear the LCL, a lot of surgeons have come to the belief that you shouldn't get it surgically repaired at all. You should just rehab it with your trainer. That, for instance, Jaden Daniels tore his LCL earlier this year, and it was decided on the fly, just rehab it, it'll be fine. And he was back fairly quickly from the LCL tear, which remains torn, but not a big deal. Like, it can happen where I've torn my biceps tendon over here, got a tiny scar here, but mine ruptured. It can rupture either here or here, but my biceps tendon ruptured here, and then it rolls like a window shade up your arm up to here. And the point is, that's my left arm, but several quarterbacks, Favre, Elway, tore it over here, and it's another tendon that you don't really need it to throw. So they just, both of them opted to just leave it alone, leave it be, let it roll up to here. I assume they both tore it here. Maybe they tore it here and it went down. But either way, whichever way, attaches here and here. But with the throwing motion, it just doesn't bother. It's not necessary. So you can get it fixed later, because the one thing you can't do, as I learned, is this. You can't open the doorknob. You've lost your ability to do that. But I continued to lift weights for a while before I even knew I'd torn it. The point is, it's like the LCL. The LCL doesn't matter unless it's in concert torn with the ACL. And then you have a problem, and it can lead to a little longer rehab. It definitely, according to several people I talked to, can lead to LC-ACL combination tears. It can be harder to come back the first year. It's harder to get it right, to get it where the pain is completely gone. It might take a longer time, maybe a whole football season, even though you'll go ahead and try to play on it, to regain total confidence in the LCL-ACL combination. It's rare and weird. And one of the doctors I spoke to said, it's funny, he only sees that combo in people who aren't in shape, that they get caught in an awkward situation, and because they're a little overweight or they're not in great shape, not great athletically, that you come down and your ACL is tearing, and then you try to save it awkwardly and it tears the outside, the lateral collateral ligament. And doctor, who wasn't a football fan, said, well, is he in great shape? And I said, I don't know. He gets kidded about having a dad bod, but is any quarterback ever in great shape? I don't know. I've been around a lot of quarterbacks in my day. You got to be in football quarterback shape to be able to take the pounding that they inevitably take. But obviously it doesn't require a lot of cardio. Can you carry yes, you can carry extra weight. In fact, sometimes I would recommend it to a quarterback to put on a few more pounds, get your dad bod, because it gives you a little more armor against the shots you're going to take in the pocket. Now, if you're a running quarterback, you obviously have to be in shape to maximize your acceleration, and you have to be in the shape to accelerate, which Patrick obviously was. In fact, he would stun me weighing, he looks like he weighs 235 or 40, and his acceleration would look chuggy to me, but it worked. He's actually a very good runner of the football, which I'm about to dive into here. He actually, for a while, could play on the fact that quarterbacks cannot be hit, especially face of the franchise, if not face of the league, Patrick Mahomes. So there are often times when he would run up the sideline and kind of dare the defender to hit him, knowing that the defender was going to pull up like, I'm going to get 15 yards if I even touch you, if I breathe on you before you go out of bounds. So Mahomes would deke them like I'm going out of bounds and then take another 5, 6, 7 yards. Ha, ha, ha. And it would deeply irritate, piss off the defender. Like, what am I supposed to do? I can't hit him. And then he takes advantage of me and keeps running up the sideline. I saw that happen even in that playoff game against Tennessee. My God. Remember that the run he made against Tennessee? It's like the Titans were playing flag football. Like 7 Titans had a chance, and they just tried to grab his flag. Well, there's no flag. This is actual tackle football. That's the beauty of the running Mahomes. But the point is, with this combination of tears and repairs, it's going to be harder than usual for him to get back full speed. Knowing him, whatever he can maximize next year, he will. But here's my point to you. Patrick Mahomes is going to have to change the way he plays, because more than ever this season, until he got hurt, he was a running quarterback. Would you believe that Patrick Mahomes was leading the National Football League in yards per carry as a quarterback? Among quarterbacks, yards per carry, 6.6 yards per carry, Patrick Mahomes led. He was on pace. Obviously, he didn't finish the season, but he was on pace to shatter his personal record, his personal high for rushing attempts. Some scrambled, some called, but mostly extemporaneous, obviously. Rushing attempts, he was going to shatter it. He was carrying the football at a shockingly high rate for a quarterback seen as more of a pocket passer, which I never really thought that he was. But what does my man Aqib Talib say on a Read a Gridiron on Underdog? He says, running quarterbacks, pardon my language, are going to have to put up with running back shit, as in running back injuries. If you run, you're going to get hit, and ultimately, you're probably going to get hurt in some way, shape, or form. Maybe minor, maybe major. But you're going to get hit and hurt as a running quarterback. The Mahomes that I watched this year had fallen dramatically. His stats overall have fallen each of the last 3 years. But this year he fell to a career worst in completion percentage. Career worst in completion percentage. Why was that? because across the board, Travis Kelce at age 36 had hit the wall and hit career lows in every receiving category at age 36 as he transitions into celebrity marriage, to podcast celebrity marriage. Career lows across the board. In their heyday, in their primes together, in my time, and I've been doing this for a long time, I have never seen a better rapport and a deeper connection between a quarterback and a receiver than I saw between Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. As I used to say on television, it's like Kansas City has two Batmen. It wasn't Batman and Robin for Kelce. It was Batman and Batman. Batman was throwing to Batman, Travis Kelce. Obviously a first ballot Hall of Famer, greatest receiving tight end ever, one of the greatest receivers, period, ever, because of his rapport with that quarterback. How many times did Patrick Mahomes wait for Travis Kelce to uncover? Or for that matter, how many times, let's do it conventionally, how many times did Travis Kelce just run what you call a choice route, or they used to call it option routes? Brady used to do it with Edelman, some with Gronk, but mostly with Edelman, some Amendola underneath. But they're just little choice routes. I've got this guy, and I can choose if he's here, wherever his leverage, whichever way he plays me, he goes here, I go there. And Brady has to trust, boom, I'll be right with you and I'll go there. Travis Kelce ran more downfield option type routes, choice type routes, and just trusted the rapport, the connection, the psychological wavelength he was on with Patrick Mahomes to anticipate and trust and fire to a spot that he was anticipating that Travis Kelce would get to. Man, that's a beautiful thing. That's a dynastic combination and connection. Dynastic. That's why they were in, 5 Super Bowls in 6 years. Those two together. At crucial times, they were playing backyard football, because there were some times when Patrick Mahomes would drop back, he'd start to buy time left or right, he'd duck under, he'd make one miss. Incredible. He's like, obviously a former shortstop, his father, professional baseball player, pitcher, but Patrick has, I'm not talking past tense, but I'm talking about in his glory days, he had sensational athletic elusivity as a shortstop type, that just shortstop movement, quickness, being able to throw from odd arm angles completely off platform. And because of that, they're playing backyard, they're playing draw it up in the dirt football. When in doubt, Patrick Mahomes would just buy some time and just suddenly throw it to Kelce. And Kelce would just keep fighting for separation, keep trying, separate here. And usually he's not covered by a cornerback, obviously, somebody who can really blanket, can just stick to and suffocate. It might be a safety, but oftentimes it's going to be a linebacker who can't stay that long with Travis Kelce. He's going to uncover for Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes knows 87's just, I'm just going to find him. I'm going to find him on 3rd and 8 for a 10-yard completion. And maybe there'll be a little run after catch for 15 or 17 or 20. It was beautiful to watch, man. It's Hall of Fame. It is rare upon rare. Both of those guys, first ballot Hall of Famers. But more and more, as he bought time this year, and Travis Kelce couldn't uncover just because he's getting older, hitting the wall, then Patrick would say, well, I'll do it. And off he went. And he could run. He can lumber run, but he can run. I don't know, he had rare quickness and speed that didn't translate to the naked eye. He doesn't look that fast, and then he's playing that fast. He's playing faster than a lot of defenders are playing. And the point is that all of a sudden, that combination of low completion percentage and run, well, it got the Chiefs nowhere. He was going nowhere fast. That's what he was doing, going nowhere fast, because they were about to miss the playoffs and did obviously end up missing the playoffs. And I don't think they would have made the playoffs even if he had stayed upright and avoided that terrible injury that he suffered. But next year, now you're trying to come back from this weird combination tear, ACL, LCL. It's going to take a lot of the daredevil out of you. You're not going to put yourself in as many dangerous, precarious, threatening situations as you used to, because you're going to lose a little confidence in your knee. You're going to say, I don't want to go through that rehab again. It's just human. Everybody does it. He won't be quite the daredevil. How many dangerous, even in that game against the Chargers, the first touchdown Kansas City scored, he went from 11 yards on a scramble straight up the middle, and he's daring Chargers to hit him. It's dangerous, man. You're running through what could be brick walls that kind of open for you because you're a quarterback, but as he gets more of a reputation for running as a quarterback, they're just saying, hell with you, man, we're going to hit you. I just think Patrick Mahomes next year is going to have to learn how to play quarterback again. And I'm talking about conventional quarterback. Andy can teach it. His footwork is some of the worst footwork in the history of quarterback play. He has no footwork. He did this at Texas Tech. It's just all by feel. There's no precision to it at all. It's rare. My man Jay Gruden on Arena Gridiron always talks about Shador and his bad footwork. And it can be a little shaky bad, drifty footwork. But Jay always says, you've got routes that require right now, bang, 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 bang. Just you have to read it and react and cut it loose on time. Well, that's what Patrick is going to have to do, because his footwork you wouldn't teach to any young quarterback, I can tell you that. He's so gifted with his arm talent from all angles and platforms that the footwork didn't matter anymore. I used to say, this is horrible footwork. It worked. 5 Super Bowls in 6 years. It certainly worked. But I don't think it's going to work anymore quite the way it did without Kelsey and with a left knee that cannot, unless miracles are worked. And he's a miraculous human being, but it's going to take a miracle to get it 100% right and reinstill 100% confidence in him in that knee by season opener next year. And even though I believe he'll play, I believe he'll make it back, it's just going to be hard to trust it the way he used to trust it. So my point is, you're going to have to play quarterback like a lot of other humans have to play quarterback. And it'll be interesting. He's capable. It's just going to be it's not going to come as easily, as sensationally, as spectacularly, as dynastically as it used to come. I just think next year, as he rises into his 30s, he's going to have to reteach himself to play quarterback, and he can. I don't doubt he's going to play for a long time. He's just going to have to play a little different way. Watch next year. You'll see a little different Patrick, and he will not be running anywhere near as much as he ran this year when, again, he led the NFL among quarterbacks in yards per carry. What? And they missed the playoffs. Now to my man, Micah Parsons. I don't hate Micah. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. But as you know, I tried to love him in his rookie year. We even made a video, thanks to the great DJ Steve Porter. Micah, 11 from heaven. I thought we had the next Lawrence Taylor. And he flashed, and he wrecked maybe 3 games his rookie year. And then I just say what I see on TV, on Arena Gridiron, in these videos. I just say what I see. And I began to see less and less from Micah in sophomore year, junior year, senior year, as we go to year 2, 3, and 4 in pro football. And this is what I began to see. I began to see a Micah Parsons whose supreme quickness and speed at 6 feet 3 inches and 250 pounds is the best I've ever seen from an edge rusher. I'm talking about supreme point A to B quickness and speed. Best I've ever seen, A to B. But what I began to not love, what began to frustrate me was what happened when he needed to go from point A to point C, point A to point C. And I began to see a Micah Parsons who was surprisingly stiff in his upper body, waist up, surprisingly stiff up here. Extreme out of the blocks quickness and speed off the edge. Out of the blocks for 6'3", 250. I don't know what he runs. I don't know. He's raced before. Could he run 4.4-ish? Maybe it's more like 4.5, but still blazing fast for 250 pounds. And quick, fast, initial acceleration unmatched. Never seen anything like it before. But stiffness in the upper body that prevented him from bending. What makes an edge rusher a Hall of Famer as a sack artist is bendability. The ability to bend and get hands on quarterback, to bend through the blocker or two blockers and get hands on quarterback, to hit the quarterback. I'm talking about the Gumby factor. I'm talking about the athletic flexibility to lean and drive and bend and reach. I just didn't see it enough in Micah Parsons. I saw it in Von Miller at his greatest, especially in that Denver Super Bowl against Cam. Von could really bend. My man Charles Haley, who finally got in the Hall of Fame, I campaigned for him, had incredible bendability, great strength and quickness, but bendability, maneuverability through the wash, through the chaos to get hands on quarterback. Lawrence Taylor, bendability. It's just athletic flexibility that is the final ingredient in the sack artist. So what happens with Micah is, he's going to lead the league in pressures because he just explodes. It's so explosive, but a lot of times it's exploding straight past the quarterback, almost like waving at the quarterback, which spooks the quarterback. The quarterback might flinch. He might move slightly off his spot in the pocket, but you don't sack him. You don't get hands on him. You don't knock him one way or the other and keep him from throwing the football. You just pressured him. He still might complete the pass, but you got a pressure because you got within reaching, touching distance of the quarterback. But Micah has been notoriously low on actual quarterback hits. And in the end, he's been only pretty good in the sack category. I know there's the stat about he's had at least 12 and a half sacks every year since Reggie White. All I know is in 4 Dallas Cowboy playoff games, he had 1 sack. 4, and that sack came late in a blowout of Tom Brady in his swan song game in Tampa Bay. The Bucs were 8-9 that year. Cowboys won 32-14. Late in that game, final couple of minutes, Micah actually got 45-year-old Tom Brady on the ground and got 1 sack. That's the only sack in 4 playoff games. 2 against San Francisco, 1 there, 1 at Jerry World, and another game, notorious game, nightmare game at Jerry World. His now Green Bay Packers against Micah and the Cowboys, 27-0 before halftime. Micah registered 0 stats across the board in that game. 0 stats. No tackles, no hits on the quarterback, no sacks. So Micah hasn't been a consistent game wrecker because his career high in one game sacks is 3, which he pulled off this year at Arizona against Jacoby Brissett. That's the most sacks he's ever had. And it amused me that going into the Micah Green Bay at Dallas game this year, Sunday night game, it amused me that I had, they'll go nameless, people on my Arena Gridiron show predicting he would have 4 sacks in the game against Dak Prescott. And I'm thinking, well, he's never even had 3 before because the Jacoby Brissett game came later, right? Am I right about that? I think I'm right about that because it was pretty early in the year. It was the Green Bay game. And by the way, we won that game 40-40. And Micah did not wreck that game. People keep telling me he had a sack of Dak that saved a touchdown. No, he chased him down from behind because Micah can fly. He chased Dak down as he was running. He fell across the line of scrimmage, so it should have been like either a half-yard or 1-yard gain. He gained a little bit on the play. Edgerrin Cooper had drawn a bead on Dak and was going to knock him down at the 2-yard line, or Dak was going to slide at the 2-yard line. But Micah gets credit for saving the game in overtime. But it was 40-40. They played all the way through overtime. Micah did not wreck the game, and it's amazing that we scored 40 points against Micah Parsons' defense, which pretty much brings me to my point. But let's first do Micah's injury. So what did we see, unfortunately, for Micah and Packer Nation? And I have a lot of friends in Packer Nation, and this was a terrible thing that happened, so I do not underestimate just how crushing a blow this was for Packer Nation. Micah's a really good football player, and the last thing I wanted to see was for Micah to go down because I love to talk about him. I wanted to talk about him on Arena Gridiron, and all of a sudden he's gone. He missed, 4 games last year. I forget what it was. I think he pulled a hamstring last year, but this is much more serious, obviously. So what's happening? We got a game at Green Bay. Green Bay's still slightly ahead in the game. I think it was 23-21 Green Bay at Denver. Big national, big late window national type game. And Micah beat his man inside and had a pretty much direct point A to point B path to Bo Nix. And Micah throws it into 5th gear. He gets to 5th gear quickly. And here he comes, bearing down on Bo Nix, point A to point B. And Bo Nix surprised him, probably shocked him. Bo Nix suddenly pulls up and throws a jump pass. He just pulls up. Bo Nix is pretty athletic and pretty quick. And he pulls up and throws another, it's sort of a Mahomesian shortstop throw where he just pulls up and jumps and fires to Mims. It was caught. Nice game. Marvin Mims. And suddenly, Micah Parsons going from point A to point B had to do something that he's not great at. He's great at the speed and quickness, and he is strong, though not physical. He doesn't overpower people. He's got some strength to him. If he gets an edge on you, he'll just blow through the edge on them. He came from the left side, so it's the right tackle. He just beat it. This time he just tricked him. He beat him inside. Anyway, Micah all of a sudden gets a little shock going point A to point B very quickly. He is flying. And all of a sudden he has to do something that he's not great at, which is reroute. You have to reroute on the fly. You're going to have to show some athletic flexibility maneuverability, gymnastic type ability that I just think he's not great at. He's not real limber, flexible in his upper body. And as he tries to reroute, he loses a little bit of balance. And he comes down awkwardly, as happens. This is non-contact, but he's awkward because the man can fly. So he's flying at a high rate of speed, albeit just right out of the blocks. But no pass rusher I've ever seen can get up to that kind of speed that quickly. So all of a sudden, Bo fooled him, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta reroute," and he lost a little balance, and he came down awkwardly, as it happens, on the left leg, and the left ACL went. God bless him in his rehab. Should be slightly easier than Mahomes, maybe way easier than Mahomes. The ACL now, it's to the point where you can come back. He should be fine for the start of next year. You have to put the work in. He'll put the work in. But it didn't surprise me that in the reroute, as he got caught off guard a little bit, that happened. And again, I'm not saying that's exactly why he tore his ACL, because sometimes it's like God only knows, or only God knows would be the correct way to say it. Why it went, I'm sure he's done this 1,000 times before in games and nothing went, but it went. I don't know what happens. It's just hard to explain. But it looked to me, I was rooting for the Packers on Saturday night at Chicago, arch rivalry, because, yeah, I'm rooting for the Cowboys. I'm a diehard Cowboy fan. And yet, here's the point. Will they miss him that much? Well, here's the statistical point of Micah Parsons in Green Bay this year. Again, we scored 40 on them. Took overtime, but we scored 40 on that defense. So a year ago, the Packers defense was 6th in points allowed. I don't like to do it by yards. Just tell me what the points. What points did they give up? A year ago, 6th best in stopping the other team from scoring. This year, they're 8th in points allowed. So they're a couple of rungs worse than they were last year, which should show you that Micah didn't make that much difference, right? I'm not putting it all on his plate, but did he change life in Green Bay defensively? No, he didn't change life. How badly will they miss him from here on? I still think they're a very good team. They'll miss him some. He can close games sometimes, because one thing he does really well is if they know you have to throw and they're down, 7, 8, 9, 10 points, man, unleash the hound, man, as they say in Great Britain, because he will hunt. So will you miss the closer that he can be, where he can just go get you some kind of a late sack that will end it? Yeah, you might miss that a little bit. But overall defense, I just don't think you miss him that much, which is why I haven't missed him that much this year. Okay, so last year, with Micah Parsons playing, he missed 4 games. But with him playing, we went 6-7. And again, Dak didn't play some of those games. But as a football team, we ended up being not very good last year, 6-7. We're probably a little worse this year, but not because we miss him, just because we have a new coach who said he was going to change the culture in Dallas, and there are too many games we just weren't ready to play. I didn't like Mike McCarthy because we weren't ready to play playoff games, but 12-5, 12-5, 12-5, we were pretty ready to play all of our regular season games under Mike McCarthy, who so far has proven to be a way better football coach and even, dare I say, motivator, preparer than Brian Schottenheimer has. I'm just very disappointed in Schottenheimer. 6-8-1. Can we go win at Washington, what's left of them, with their third-string quarterback, and win at the Giants? We should be able to. Can we get to 8-1 so we'd have a little better record than we had with Micah last year? Maybe, probably. Who cares? We're a bad football team. But we were a bad football team with Micah last year. I just can't forget those early season games at home against New Orleans. We're down 35-16 at halftime. Again, going back to the previous playoff game, we're down 27-0 at halftime with Micah on the field every defensive play. 35-16 at halftime against New Orleans, and we got run out of the building, and Jerry said at the press conference post-Micah, he just didn't play the run very well. Well, he didn't. And he didn't, they graded him better against the run at Green Bay. I don't think he was any better. I just think he's surrounded by better players on defense. Green Bay's defense was really good. Top 5-ish last year, against 6th in points scored. Yards allowed, if you want to do that, which they go by, then they're top 5 defense last year. Not as good this year. But my point is that we got blown out by New Orleans early last year, and then Baltimore came in. I know we made it a game because Dak is great in garbage time, but we're down 28 to whatever it was, 25. I think it was 28-6 going to the fourth quarter, and then we made some sort of game out of it. But we were getting blown out. We got blown out twice by Philly last year. I know they're a Super Bowl team, but we didn't even come close. And this year, we should have won the game up there. And we did win the game at Dallas. So what happened? So now Jerry, who's the easiest target in sports, and look, I'm not trying to overly defend him. I'm just saying that he and Stevens said they thought they had a deep enough pass rush and that they could scheme it up. Eberflus is Eberfraud. He has to go. So I blame most of it on him. But when I looked at the depth at pass rusher, I said, especially after they added Clowney, who had his moments against, remember, in 4 days span, we beat the 2 Super Bowl teams from last year, both at home. Philly on Sunday after we were down 21-0, and maybe that was more their fault, taking the foot off the gas. And then Kansas City, fair and square, straight up, we beat them, but they're fading to a non-playoff team. But we beat them at home. We did that on Thanksgiving Day or evening. And yet, I thought the pass rush could be pretty good just on depth. Once Clowney emerged, he was really good against Mahomes that day. Really good. Dante Fowler, I just thought he led Washington sacks last year. Not much, nothing really. Sam Williams has got explosiveness to him. He'll flash every once in a while. James Houston came out of nowhere and flashed every once in a while. Ezra Waka, I loved as a second-round pick. He flashed every once in a while, but not consistently. Osa, my God, against Philadelphia, he just took the game over against Philly, and yet I didn't see it consistently from him. And then when we most needed a pass rush at Detroit, we got none. When we most needed it at home against J.J. freaking McCarthy, we got none. And then after it was all over, we don't show up on defense against Justin Herbert, who's still overrated. I don't care what you say. He can come unglued. Go look at what happened to their playoff game at Houston last year when he threw 4 picks. Just go check out the numbers from that game. We got no pressure on him, and I don't know why. No motivation, no direction, they tried to blitz. They actually, on half of the 29 passes that he threw, we sent more than 4 men. We never touched him. We got no sacks. He's the most sacked quarterback in football, Justin Herbert. They lost their backup left tackle early in that game to a hamstring pull, and we couldn't touch him. These guys are better than that. And we have some good blitzers, Shamar James and Donovan Wilson and Reddy Stewart. These guys can blitz, and I don't know. We didn't scheme it up. We didn't maximize the ability that we did have. But did we miss Michael? Well, obviously, he's really good. So occasionally we did, but he's not contagious. He doesn't rub off. He's not a team leader. He's not an igniter the way Charles Haley was an igniter. Ask Troy Aikman, he said it on Monday Night Football recently, that he wouldn't have his rings without Charles Haley because they followed him. He was pretty crazy, but he was driven to win football games. I never got the feeling that Micah is driven to win football games. He enjoys playing. He enjoys sacking. He enjoys the attention. He does enjoy the podcasting, which he curtailed this year in Green Bay. Way to go, Micah. But driven to win, I never got that. And if you pay him the most money paid ever to a non-quarterback, more money than a bunch of quarterbacks make, it's just not worth that. That's my point with Dallas. At least we have some salary cap flexibility. Now, the people at the controls, Jerry and Steven, and if it's shoddy going forward, I just don't love it. The buck stops on Jerry's desk. I just don't know how much he understands, gets, feels, thinks football. I just don't trust. I've been around him a lot. I just don't believe in him as the owner and the operator of a football team. So the cap room, but I didn't blame him. I didn't condemn him for letting Micah go because we still got the draft picks to use. And Quinnen didn't play, obviously, against Justin Herbert. So that takes a little away from the pass rush because you can collapse the pocket from the interior. I don't know where Osa went. I don't know where Kenny Clark went on Sunday. But the point is, did we really... would we have been that much better? If Micah had played every game this year for the Dallas Cowboys, would we be better than 6-8-1? I guarantee you, no. Trust me, no. Could he have helped here and there? Sure he could. He's Micah freaking Parsons. He's a freak of nature. But not a leader, not a consistent game wrecker, not a dominator. Not a Charles Haley, not a Reggie White, not a Lawrence Taylor. I'm sorry, I don't see that. Not a Myles Garrett. I don't see that. Myles Garrett can move. He can bend. He has athletic flexibility as well as supreme power that Micah doesn't have. Gerald McCoy, my man, from Oklahoma, Pro Bowl defensive tackle on Arena Gridiron, concluded a couple of weeks back. We're going back and forth, and point blank, I think Akib asked him, okay, is Micah Parsons a physical football player? And Gerald McCoy, the real McCoy, said, nope, not a physical football player. He had broken down a tape of a game Micah had played. I think it was the Philly game at Green Bay. I think it was at a Monday night game. He had broken down the tape. He's just not a physical football player. He's finesse. He's speed and quickness. I don't know. God bless him in his rehab. I'm sorry he got hurt. But I just gave you my lowdown on Micah, my lowdown on Patrick Mahomes, and what they've been, what they have not been, and what they will be. Thank you for watching, listening.